Welcome back to CollaboRadio, folks. We're so glad to be back with you. We have a very, very special episode this time around. We've got P.SUS, also known as Pat. We've got ThinkFishTank, also known as Steve. And a very special guest, Jade, who is Pat's fiance. Welcome, everybody.
Yo.
Hello.
Hello.
What's happening? It's good to be back. CollaboRadio.
Yeah. I was gonna
number
say,
what? 7, 6,
This
5?
is number 8, actually.
8. Whoa, shit.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We're getting close to double digits.
Nice.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's been a while since I've been on one.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've heard from any of you three, actually.
Yeah, in real life, yeah.
Yeah,
in general.
Or on the internet.
Yeah, holy shit. But yeah, anyway, I guess let's talk about the reason why we're all here. The reason we're here today is that Pat recently released a new album called Groovy Star, and we're just going to talk a little bit about that. So, Pat, what would you say is kind of the vibe of this album?
It's slightly multi-dimensionally vibed, I suppose, but I'd say the most obvious one straight out the gate is space, sort of. It's kind of like a space-themed album, hence the name and like the cover, you can kind of tell. But I think there's some others. It didn't necessarily start out that way, so there's some other vibes kind of thrown into. I'd say it's like kind of more poppy, I guess, and more like kind of electronic, like synthesizers, more than it's less of a Plunderphonics record, I'd say, than some of my other ones.
Yeah, I took a listen to it this morning, and I definitely see what you mean by that, and that there's a lot more singing on this one than there has been in the past. It's really cool.
True,
though.
yeah. That's a big point as well, is like I kind of just came in guns blazing with the vocoder vocals because
It's sweet though. Like it works really, really well.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely been getting some traction on the other songs that I used vocoder on, and seemed like people liked it, and I really like doing it for the most part. Really into that sound, so I just really wanted to like see how far I could, go with it, because with like Temporary Sensations there was like about 3 tracks, I think, or 4 that had it, and out of like 20 and then like Futari there was only 2, and then on Take It Easy there was only 1, but on this one it's like almost every other song has a vocoder in it. So
Yeah.
it's definitely I don't know, P.SUS Sings Volume 1.
Yeah, I'm
Nice.
digging it. I kind of like the new approach with the singing and stuff. And like you said, it is definitely like poppier than anything you've made, and I think that's really fun. Like there's a couple songs in here that I could absolutely play on the radio, I think. And
Oh, cool.
it's just a fun album overall.
Yeah, it's sort of your own kind of twist on pop. Like I don't know what
can see that.
I don't know what subgenre we would put it under, but like it's electronica-ish, I guess.
It's what do you call it when people sing on electronic music? There's a word for that.
Everything on the radio. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, like what Depeche Mode and stuff like that. What would you call that?
I feel like you could call it synth pop.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
pretty
yeah.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's what
I
I was
mean
trying to think of.
genres, are kind of difficult. There's definitely maybe synth pop would sum it up. I don't know. I mean, there's still sampling happening, so it's still Plunderphonics for sure. And it's definitely, a bit of I wouldn't call it a dance record necessarily, but I'd say there's a lot of like 4 on the floor beats in there. I think another thing that I was kind of going for with it was like sort of like a slow dance beat for like a lot of the tracks. I don't know.
Oh, I can definitely hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like not quite hip hop, but not quite like house, somewhere in between.
Just
like,
kind of a
like
relaxed
slow
groove.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously there's like lo-fi vibes in there too. There's like some tape warp effects and, you know, a lot of static and crackles and pops and you know, it sounds like shit basically.
Intentionally.
Yeah, in the best way possible.
No, it's awesome. It kicks off with a sample of what sounds like somebody putting it. What's going on in those? You have a couple samples throughout. Sounds like somebody putting tapes in a deck.
Yeah, I think you'll like this. Just hold on 1 second.
Yeah, okay, so the very first thing you hear when you play the album, and there's also a clip like halfway through or so.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's my friend George. You remember?
Yeah.
That's he like sent me a cassette. He recorded his voice to a cassette when he was like 10. So I still had that.
That's so good. That's even better. That really makes it even better.
Yeah. So that's like a original. Well, I mean, it's not. That's not my voice, but it's pretty close to the source.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
It's like a one of a kind cassette right there.
Yeah, I was actually curious. I was like, hang on, is this baby P.SUS we're hearing, or is
P.SUS?
Yeah, I have recordings of that too, but I'm not gonna put that in there.
Okay, fine. I suppose it's up to you over there. But
maybe someday. I don't know.
We'll see. Never
when
say
I
never.
run out of stuff.
When you're just out of ideas.
Yeah, out of other samples.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the first song also features a sample of his voice, like from recordings that we did when we were younger. It's kind of like, it's just like a really glitchy, weird sounding sample in the background of the first track. Mm-hmm. It kind of sounds like kids singing or whatever. That's from like recordings that we did as kids too. So I sampled some of that stuff on Temporary Sensations as well. So.
Cool.
Yeah, I really dig that. I was curious what that sample was, because it comes back later at the end of one of the, was it No Phone, I think it is?
Oh.
No. Him talking about the tape.
Oh yeah.
I was really curious. For some reason, when I listened to the album, that was the thing I was like most like, "What is this?" I gotta figure that out, because it's so cool. It's such a great way of setting up the album too.
Thanks. Yeah, it does. You're right. It does come in at the end of that. But I was talking about like there's like a musical sort of sample in the first track as well. It's kind of masked because it's all chopped up sounding, but I don't know. You'll just have to go listen to it again, I guess.
Yeah, I'm listening to it right now, actually, and I can hear what you're talking about. It's really neat.
Thanks. I feel like that kind of covers the first track, to be honest. Like, cool. I mean, there's not, like I was saying, like a lot of the samples for some of the tracks are just like stuff I made with synthesizers, I guess. Mm-hmm. And like stuff that's like real close to home, like those kind of samples like that I was just talking about. There's not a whole lot other than that's like off of, vinyl records or anything like that. There is a sample from a VHS in that first song, but like a lot of the tracks are just me doing my thing, like they come from either like personal stuff. I don't think there might be a field recording or two in there. There certainly are on Temporary Sensations, but like this album kind of started out as like, I wanted to make an album with no samples in it at one point. I was like, oh, I just want to make an album that's just like 100% me, like pretty much. Obviously, like, I mean, it's like, it's kind of funny because, like, where do you draw the line? It's like I'm using someone else's synthesizer. There's, like, someone else's patch, that someone programmed.
Right.
So it's like, but it's like, as far as the compositions go, it's mostly me because it sort of started out that way. But then I was just like, screw it, I'm going to put samples in there too.
Nice. How long were you working on this album?
I'd say about a year and a half.
Nice.
From now.
Nice.
If you don't count All Over Again is obviously an old song, so I guess.
I thought I recognized that one.
Yeah, I did too, but tell us about that. Or we can get to it when we get to it, but.
It's only a couple tracks away.
All
so
right,
I guess I'll
be
tell
patient.
the story of that
Stay
one.
tuned for that.
So we're on the Sus, is that right?
Yeah. This one of the more sample heavy tracks, probably. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of two work in progress songs that were pieced together, which I do a lot. I'd say a few tracks are like that on here. I'd say this one made it on, like this one, a lot of people on Patreon liked on Patreon, if you don't know already, I post a lot of my work in progress tracks, like kind of when they're in their infant stages, especially. And it's kind of nice because like I'll get feedback right away from people. And like, this was one that a lot of people were like, oh, finish this one. So nice. I did. It kind of helps to have like a sort of like a front line.
Right. Like a testing ground.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I'm playing to the crowd exclusively or anything, but it kind of helps to like, get outside of my head a little bit when it comes to like, oh, which songs are starting off on the right foot, Because sometimes when I'm done with a beat or whatever that I'm making, like I'll be like, oh, I don't know how I'm feeling about this. So like posting it on Patreon is kind of like, oh, I guess it was good. Sometimes. Cool. So I'd say this song, the most I can say about it really is that like a lot of people liked on Patreon. So thanks to if you're listening, huge shout out to everyone on Patreon for helping me out in more ways than one. It's not just monetary. It's also feedback is really important.
Feedback dairy.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I like the speak and spell here. And
yeah.
The first time I listened to it, I thought the speak and spell was saying F you, and I was like, whoa, let's go. It's like, this is a darker
hands with the speak and spell.
F you. But no, it's spelling SUS, which I like. That is awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, that's I've used those. I love those speak and spell or whatever samples. They're great.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I actually had one of those as a kid, like the original speak and spell, which I think was before my time, but it just was kicking around for my older siblings or whatever. Mm-hmm. So those samples, remind me so much of my childhood.
Yeah, it sounds dope. That like early synth voice, I really like that.
Oh yeah, right. Was there anything like what was there before that for like synthesized voice and like that sort of context? Before speak and spell,
I forget what the first one was.
Mm-hmm.
There was like a robotic artificial voice developed. Probably, I don't want to say false information.
Yeah,
it's definitely like probably earlier than you'd think.
Sure.
I'm looking up the Wikipedia article for speech synthesis.
Yeah. It sounds very similar to the speak and spell one, where it's.
I would guess like the 60s if I had to take a random guess, but it's probably before then because that's what I'm guessing.
Yeah.
What do you got, Jack?
I think it's close.
I'm seeing. Let's see.
The first example.
I remember reading about it at one point, but
looks like the first general English text-to-speech system was developed in 1968, and it was just this big-ass computer.
Yeah, I feel like they gave it a name too, like a guy's name or something.
Sorry, I'm just skimming this article right now and seeing if I can...
What do you have to say about that, Jade?
Yeah, I want to hear Jade's opinion on synthesized speech.
No, the only thing I've had to add to what you were saying about, oh, it sounds like shit. I feel like I always think your music's been through shit. More like the process. And it makes me think about like the making of movies that were turned into VHSs and the fact that they're old and, like the old sound gives it like, oh, they've been through shit. And like your music's been through shit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Literally.
Not
literally. It's literally. God, I hope not. But it's literally being processed through different methods to degrade it. Yeah. It's a funny way to say it.
Yeah.
Kind of like my life.
Yeah, exactly. It feels lived in, right?
Yeah. There's like a time and I don't know. there's just something to it that makes it seem like it's been through some time and wear and tear. Yeah. Especially because it's been a year of making it and remaking it and, you know, working through it. And
yeah, I think you mentioned that you ended up having to do the mastering more than once for this album.
Yeah. I learned a lot on this album cycle. I went through, I got some new speakers, some new studio monitors, and thanks to shout out to Nick Burtkey for helping me out with that. He recommended some speakers and helped me out a little bit with my acoustic treatment in my room. So I learned a lot about I totally reorganized my room and tried to pick a good listening spot for, you know, you have to be wary of how the bass frequencies bounce around your room. So you have to place the speakers and your listening spot in the right spot in your room, because the waves will bounce back and forth between the walls and start to overlap and resonate with each other. So you can cancel some of that out just by placing them in the right place. Mm-hmm. And then I also put up acoustic foam in certain areas in my room, in the corners and at the early reflection points, as they're called. So I was doing all this research and stuff and, you know, trying to master my album with these kind of new tools, I guess. And there was some trial and error, so it was a pretty long process. I also was using, the first time I went through and tried to master things, I was using RMS values to you know, sort of keep track of the, RMS stands for root mean square, and it it assesses the waveform and I guess does the root mean square calculation on it. So it's supposed to simulate what your the loudness based on human hearing, mm-hmm. and not just on peak levels and stuff. So I went through my album and adjusted the volume based on the RMS values, but then I'd rather trust my ears than numbers, you know? And I was reading on forums and stuff, a lot of people that were actually mastering engineers were don't do that. They're just use your ears. Get a reference track to put it in its own track, and listen to how your tracks you know, compare to that side by side, and then boost the volume based on that instead of just looking at numbers. You're supposed to use your ears. It's music, you
Gotcha.
know?
Yeah.
So I went back with that advice, and of course, you know, I didn't do a perfect job. I'm sure. I think some of the levels, certainly, you know, I'm not a professional really when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'm still learning. I'm still kind of a half-baked bedroom producer at heart. So, you know, it's hard to get all this stuff right. My room isn't perfect acoustics or anything, but yeah, it kind of I was also waiting for the album art, so I had plenty of time to try and polish it off.
Nice.
So yeah, that was kind of a grueling process, to be honest.
Yeah.
It feels really good to finally have it out there.
Yeah, well, congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah, that sounds, I'm not going to lie, that sounds like it sucked having to go through all of that. To do it all the way, and then you realize, shit, it was the wrong way. I gotta fucking do it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm not an expert in this either, but I know that mastering can be extremely time-consuming.
Yeah,
so,
well, usually people have someone else do it. You know, right. It's mm-hmm. mastering engineer, but mm-hmm. I just like to do everything myself. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably would have sounded fine, even the method that I was doing before, but I just wanted to, if anything, it was just the principle, and also to practice, going forward, oh, this is how you do it, you know? Mm-hmm. I don't know. So I'm pretty happy with how it sounds.
I think it sounds great, personally.
Thanks.
Yeah, I've listened to it a few times now. I've listened to it on my my studio speakers, and I've listened to it in my car. And yeah, it sounds really good in all environments. I even listened to it on a shitty Bluetooth speaker. It smells really good. I don't know where that scent came from. It sounds really good. Oh man, I'm tired. I'll let someone else talk now.
Well, to give listeners like a visual, you could definitely like throw down a fight in here and be okay. There's lots of padding.
Oh,
and,
sweet.
Yeah,
Wow.
he did a really nice job, like organizing everything and putting everything where it needed to be, and it
keeps falling off the walls, which is annoying. That's been the
challenges.
Yeah, I need to find a better way to hang up my acoustic foam.
What are you using at the moment?
Right now, I used spray glue to like glue the foam to cardboard. Mm-hmm. Like I cut out the cardboard to like fit with the panels, and then I fasten the cardboard onto the wall with like those. They're like poster strips.
Oh, command strips?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
They're like they're not gonna like. I just didn't want to screw up the foam, and I didn't want to screw up the walls. So that's why I have like the cardboard in between, and like it doesn't
Florida
work.
humidity is a problem.
Yeah, I think the humidity might be one thing that's causing it. I think also like I got sort of shitty glue. But it's all good. I just
Just all part of the process of learning how this shit works.
Yeah. I also got Nick recommended that I just buy insulation bags from Home Depot or whatever, because it kind of works the same as like one of the main things that are important for acoustic treatment in a room is bass traps, because I guess the bass frequencies they all go to like the corner of your rooms, like the corners of your room.
Okay.
Apparently, so putting like, you know, whatever, there's different, like there's panels, there's foam, and obviously insulation bags or fiberglass, guess like whatever the heck they're made out of. There's like actual real fiberglass panels too that you can get. So he recommended getting insulation bags and just stacking them up in the corners. So I didn't do that, but I have a couple. Like the most important spots are like the very tops of like the top corners of the room and the bottom corner. So I have a couple insulation bags in the bottom corners because they're like a little cheaper than buying real bass traps. But I think someday I'll probably get the whole corner filled in. So yeah.
Well,
bass trap would be a good name for an album, by the way. Just
bass trap.
Put that on the back burner.
Would it be a trap album?
Oh God! Never mind.
I can see the reviews now.
It'd be a bass heavy album.
Bass heavy.
Too chill.
It's like two things I really like, bro: bass and trap. Yeah.
Oh God!
Turn up the
bass. Oh, sweet. Do you want to move on to track 3?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, let's do that.
Yeah. Well, there's not much to say about this one really. Actually, it's just this one's probably, it's like all samples. I think it's like the only track that's like, I don't think there's any synthesizers or anything in this one.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah.
There's like a sound in there that I would have guessed was a synthesizer.
Well, it is, but it's a sampled synthesizer.
Oh, sure.
It's like this one. I sampled a lot of like one of my main inspirations for this record was Moog Records.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you guys, I'm sure you guys are somewhat familiar with Moog Records, but it was like a phenomenon in the late 60s and 70s. And the Moog is Robert Moog. He invented the Moog synthesizer. It's M-O-O-G. It's not pronounced Moog. It's Moog, apparently. So those came out around that time and like became popular. Like, you know, they're used in a lot of famous pop songs of the time too, I'm sure, although I'm not particularly, I can't think of any off the top of my head right now, but there's a lot of artists that made like if you go to a vinyl record store, they will certainly have a Moog section, because there's just a lot of artists that made Moog records. It's like before it was electronic music, it was just like, oh, they're using Moog, so it's Moog. Oh, it's probably the best to ever do it is Isao Tomita. He's a Japanese guy that did a lot of like my favorite record by him is Debussy music arranged for Moog synthesizers. It's called Snowflakes Are Dancing, I think. And but then there's a lot of other random people like Dick Hyman. He's I sampled him before. And Jean-Jacques Perret, I think, French dude. He's the guy who wrote the music for the Electric Light Parade at Disney.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So if you
that's
know
crazy.
Yeah.
If you know that song, that's like kind of what a lot of Moog records sound like.
Oh, that's sick. That's a cool little bit of history that I didn't know about.
Yeah. Actually, Disney kind of like jacked his song. He didn't wrote that song. He wrote that song for one of his albums, and then he said he like went to Disneyland one time and was like, "Oh, they're playing my song."
Oh my god, that's insane.
Didn't even know about it. I think he was cool about it though. I don't know. It's just like random story. But anyway, I was inspired and sampled a lot of Moog records, and I really enjoyed buying them and listening to them. And I was inspired a lot by like the space age kind of records in general. Like I sampled a lot of records that came out in 1969, like specifically.
Yep.
After the moon landing. So I also went to, like, we don't live too far away from Cape Canaveral, and I went there recently, which is like they have a lot of homages to the first moon, expeditions, and I was pretty inspired by that kind of time. I have a couple records that are like, I have one record that's like a 45 RPM, and it's just like recordings of broadcasts from back then and stuff. I sampled a couple times, and I was just fascinated with the sort of the space age like phenomenon back then, because it's like, I feel like it kind of captures like sort of what I do. It's sort of like retro, but also futuristic. So I don't know. I was fascinated with that.
It was also 50 years ago this summer.
Whoa.
Oh yeah.
The moon landing was, sorry.
That's right. Yeah. I didn't plan that.
But it's crazy. No, it worked out perfectly.
Yeah. So,
and what's the title of the track? Is there any interesting story with that?
The third track that we're on, Fool. It's just a reference to the spoken word little sample in there. It's
nice.
Like it's old comedy record that I bought. I forget the guy's name right now. Yeah. So and also like it kind of works as a nice little intro to All Over Again. Like it flows straight into there. It's like kind of like in the relative key, and I really thought that worked nicely. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about that one.
Tell us about All Over Again, because you said this is an older track.
Yeah, so I originally made this one in 2010. So I made it in 2010 because I was starting to get interested in vocoder, and I wanted to make stuff. It was probably like maybe the second or third track ever that featured vocoder in it from me, like the and I made it, and I was like, oh, this like I kind of like this, but I don't know if I really want to post it, because back then I was definitely really shy about like lyrics, even if or like my voice being in my song, even if it was like processed through synthesizer like that. So I didn't post it, and also I never really like finished it. Like I wrote like one verse, and I thought it was kind of like lame to like just repeat that over and over again. So that was another reason why I just like never went back and like finished the song. But then in 2014, I was just like looking for stuff to upload to my SoundCloud. And I was just like, oh, this is like, I was kind of like rediscovering it. And I was like, oh, this actually is pretty good. Like, I guess, let me just throw it up there on SoundCloud. And to my surprise, it just kind of took off. Like, it's definitely my most, well, it's certainly in competition with Favorite Walk for my most popular song on SoundCloud. Wow. I think there's a couple YouTube uploads of All Over Again that have a lot of views as well. And shout outs to Domino. I think it's 1711 Domino. He or she or they made a music video to a couple of my songs. So their upload of it has a lot of views as well. So I like always wanted to put this track on an album, but I never knew like what album to put it on. And secondly, I lost the original project file because I was deleting a bunch of stuff like a really long time ago, trying to make space for things. And I also lost any like high quality file. Like all I had was an MP3 of this song. So, or like none of my other albums really like felt like the right place for it either, like artistically. So I knew like when this album was kind of shaping up in the way it did, and I was like, oh, I want to go all out on vocoder. I was like, I have to have this song on here. But what do? Like, I don't even have a WAV file. All I have is an MP3. So what I did is I went back and like recreated the whole thing from scratch.
Damn.
I like remembered everything I sampled for it. I remembered a lot of the presets and stuff that I used as far as like the sounds go. I kind of had to rediscover a couple things, and I probably did a couple things slightly differently, but I was really happy, especially with the instrumental part. I felt like it came out like almost exactly the same sounding. The voices sound a bit different. I tried to get them as close as I could as far as like the sound went, but it's just really hard to get like the vocoder to sound exactly the same, because that was like the things that I didn't remember as well. But I got it pretty close, and I think it sounds better, and I kind of added a couple little things and changed the melody very slightly, and then I wrote a second verse finally. So 10 years later almost.
Nice.
People really dig it again.
Yeah.
All over again.
I hope fans of the original version. It's kind of funny that I created a song again that's called All Over Again.
It's awesome. We love that.
I was thinking about that the whole time. It's just like, this is so fitting. I hope that people that like the original version aren't like, what the heck is this? Why does it sound different?
People seem to really like it thus far.
Why does this sound better?
Why does it sound slightly different? Sorry about that.
It's like
I wish I could put the original
version. What do you want? It's probably you know what? I'm not even sure. I've heard the original, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. But like when I heard this song, I don't think I was like, oh, that's that song, you know? Like it sounded fresh to me. So I'm curious if I had somehow missed that song our entire friendship of like 6 years.
It took
no
me a
longer
second
than that.
too.
Oh my god, it's like what?
Definitely
7
longer
years?
than that.
Yeah.
Like
oh my
8.
god.
Yeah.
Wow.
It also took me a second where I was like, oh, he's using that motif from one of his songs from earlier, and then when the verse actually kicked in, I was like, oh, it's that one.
That's awesome.
Previously unreleased, it was just always, it's I'm not trying to pull reusing too much stuff. It's like it literally just had never been on an album or been available for download ever before. So I just wanted to make that as possible for people.
Sweet.
So that's pretty much all there is. That's the story behind that song.
Sweet.
Nice.
That was awesome. I enjoyed that.
Thanks.
May, track 5.
Yeah. This one I decided to put after All Over Again because I felt like it kind of shared a lot of the same instruments and textures and stuff, which I thought was kind of nice. One interesting thing about this one is like all the little voice clips. They're just like a bunch of little, they're not really saying anything. It's just like voice sounds. That's like my own voice that I sampled.
That's cool.
It's like in the beginning. And this is another one of those tracks that's kind of like 2 work in progresses that I started independently, and then I was like, I didn't know how to finish either of them, so I just stuck them together. And I was like, oh, they work together. That's a really good trick for all you producers out there. If you have two ideas that you don't know how to finish separately, just try and put them together. See if they work. Because sometimes it like matches up really well. Just like they're meant to be together.
It was meant to be.
Yeah. So that's like the ending section of this song is kind of like the beginning of another song. And this one's the longest track on the album. It's a bit of a journey.
Oh yeah, 4 minutes and 3 seconds.
4 minutes.
Yeah. That's kind of long for me, I'd say, actually. I don't know.
And then that flows right into IDK, right?
Basically, yeah. I mean, I tried to make everything sort of flow together, but although it's not quite as seamless as some of my other albums, it's, I don't know, it's kind of like somewhere in between, I guess. Like, I feel like Fool kind of sort of deliberately kind of goes straight into All Over Again, and they're kind of in a relative key. And then All Over Again kind of is attached to May because they kind of have similar instrumental composition. But a lot of the songs, I don't know if they flow together super well. It's like with Temporary Sensations, it was like a lot more like, and Open Ears, Open Mind, Open Heart. Both of those albums especially were like very much like, oh, I really want these things to flow together perfectly.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to like tailor the tracks so that they do. Like with Temporary Sensations, like almost every song that follows the previous song is like in a relative key, I think. Mm-hmm. It's pretty close, at least. But this one, I don't know if it flows that well, but it was kind of just more like I made all these songs and then I tried to find a good track order, and then some of them were kind of meant to be next to each other, but some of the other ones could probably be rearranged and it would probably work just as well, I guess. But yeah, May, I don't know what else to say about that one.
The title? Anything interesting about the title? I'm assuming you named it after, the month that we hung out together. You're so inspired.
Obviously.
Yeah,
Obviously.
It's just an ode to Steve.
Yeah.
May, in parentheses, ode to Steve.
Right. I knew it was missing something.
I don't know. It was like a working title that just kind of stuck. And I also, it's the first month that feels like summer. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of sentimental feelings towards that month. It's probably my favorite month.
Me too. Yeah, I'm a big May fan.
Yeah, especially up north. And down here, it doesn't matter. But
right. Yeah, northern folks love May because it's like you finally get to feel good again.
Yeah, that's totally what inspired the song. Yeah,
awesome.
And then that goes into IDK, which of course for
I'm Donkey Kong.
Yeah, if you don't know, if you're not hip to internet lingo or texting lingo, okay, it means I don't know, and that's based on the lyrics of the song, and the song's just kind of about like me not wanting to say shit on the internet because I don't really know like what to say, basically. It's just like, I just feel like everyone else has got that covered, and I'm just sitting there like making music and reading it and being like, well, I don't know what to add to this conversation because I don't really feel like I know shit. about things that matter, which is literally some of the lyrics. So that's kind of what this song is about.
Nice.
Gotcha.
And once again, this is one of those songs where it's like, this song has a lot of iterations, actually. Like, I had a lot of revisions. And it's like one of those songs that were like more than one kind of stuck together again. And that's pretty much, there's not a whole lot of samples on this one. There's some recordings of me like playing some percussion instruments, playing synthesizer, making weird sounds. I'd say like the only sample is kind of in the beginning and the end, I think. I don't think there's really any other samples. I guess there's some like one-hit drum samples and stuff. And there's a field recording of a bird chirping that I recorded.
Yeah, I hear that.
And yeah, it's definitely very mostly stuff that's being played by me and not being sampled by me.
Nice.
Cool.
And then that goes into Weightless. I'm really happy with this one, actually. It's probably one of my favorites.
It's really cool. That one's really cool.
Thanks. Yeah. A lot of people like this one. This one's definitely inspired by like Sora, the producer.
Oh, I definitely hear that.
Sora Webb, I guess, as he goes on SoundCloud. And yeah, but obviously I'd say it's a little Gold Panda influenced as well. And just me trying to do my own thing, I guess, of course. And this one's like probably one of the more sample heavy ones. It's like,
Yeah. I can definitely picture this doing well with the lo-fi hip-hop chill beats crowd.
oh, cool. Word.
Like, you know those YouTube channels where it's literally just them streaming lo-fi beats
Yeah.
24 hours a day? I can definitely see this being a staple. in
Oh
one of
yeah.
those.
I'm surprised I never hear P.SUS on those things, to be honest, because
Yeah.
I feel like all those are just P.SUS ripoffs anyway.
I don't know about that. I feel like they're all like Nujabes and Jay Dilla ripoffs.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like I mean, it'd be awesome to hear my stuff on there. I certainly would think it'd be somewhat fitting, but I feel like a lot of stuff that they play on there is like, it's kind of just like more mellow. It's kind of more like Tampa beats, if you know who that is.
Yeah, I know who that is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like one loop and some drums, and it's just like it's almost more like more ambient than what I make, to be honest. Like a lot of that lo-fi stuff is very ambient in a way. It's not technically ambient music, but like I feel like the point is to kind of just be like repetitive and meditative almost.
Oh, absolutely. Like,
Right. Yeah, your stuff is more jazzy for sure.
Yeah, my stuff's might be a little too hectic for those kind of channels. But I wouldn't be surprised if one of my songs showed up on there. I can see what you're saying about this one.
Yeah.
I feel like they should, and shake things up a little.
Yeah, come on. Hit up my boy P.SUS.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people listen to it, and if they hear one of my songs, even not just for like, so they'll come, buy my music or whatever, but even just to be like, oh, this is what lo-fi can be also. Maybe they make their own beats. Maybe they'll be inspired to do something other than just like a loop with a drum beat over it. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know what else to say about that one. Just like nice little vinyl samples kind of processed through the MPC, processed through the SP303. Shout outs to the SP303 especially. I use that a lot on here just to make stuff sound nasty.
These are some nasty beats.
Put some funk on there. Yeah. Yeah, that's like every lo-fi producer wants one, because it's It's the dirt box.
The dirt box, is that what they call it?
The dirt box.
I feel like it's been called that for sure.
Dude, that's your next album.
Dirt box.
After Bass Trap.
Bass Trap,
The Dirt Box.
Dirt box.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Dude, I actually like that. It's cool.
Yeah, it's not bad. Maybe a song at least.
Absolutely.
Dirt box, yeah.
An ode to Steve.
I mean, I feel like some people might think it's like an innuendo.
Oh, all right. Well,
The Dirt Box?
Dirt box, if you know what I mean.
I don't think that. It sounds like a sandbox, you know?
Yeah,
Or
that's what I
something.
was picturing.
Yeah. Yeah, why do we call
Okay.
those sandboxes? They really are more like dirt boxes.
Are they? I thought they had sand in them.
The ones I've seen have been full of sand, but I don't
Those
know.
main sandboxes are just
The main
dirt.
sandboxes.
Sand is just a different type of dirt.
No.
Oh.
No, I don't think so, right? Sand
it's not.
is
It's made from
granulated
shells.
rock, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It's shells.
Am I
It's
dumb?
shells.
it's broken down shells.
Yeah, it's broken down shells and broken down rock, right?
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
Probably rock
Yeah.
also.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because that's why they have the like black sand
Right,
beaches, because it's like the
right.
volcanic
Looking it up.
rock.
Yeah. Yeah, I just always hear about seashells, you know, like being sand,
Is
Yeah.
sand dirt?
tumbling.
Yes.
Oh, and you can see little tiny bits
Right.
of shells.
Okay,
like-
according to Google, sand is a granular material composed of finely divided rock and mineral particles.
Hey,
It
we
is
got it.
defined by size, being finer than gravel and coarser than silt.
Oh,
Thank you for that.
Okay.
that's our new Google segment where we Google
Jack
something.
explain things.
What the hell is sand anyway?
Fucking sand, how does it work?
It's rough and coarse and it gets everywhere.
I don't like sand.
Going on to
I'm glad you got that.
It's coarse and rough.
It gets everywhere.
Not
It
here.
gets
Everything
everywhere?
is-
Does it really, Anakin? Does sand get everywhere?
Everywhere.
Oh, dude, come to Florida. It does. It really does.
Come to the Sahara Desert,
It'll
alright?
come. It'll be all over your car.
Fly over to Tatooine. It's just everywhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the album. Could
Let's
you tell us
keep
a little
the-
bit about Resistance?
Just a much
Yeah.
needed detour there for a second.
But real
good.
quick, I just wanted to ask for Weightless and Slowly Dying. Isn't Slowly Dying also Sora inspired somewhat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like slow like
Worth
they're both kind of
mentioning.
like ambient glitch. I've definitely been really into kind of the ambient glitch vibe. Like Sora kind of has a bit of that, but then there's a lot of other people out there that do that. Like Dot Tape Dot is another one. Plot. Soma Hayato, shout outs to him. It's a lot more popular in Japan than it is here. Gotta say, there's a lot of dudes that and hopefully a few ladies as well. I don't know. I haven't found. I guess there is one I can think of, but she kind of makes more like hip hop type stuff. But anyways, it's kind of just like ambient with like a glitch influence, kind of with a choppy influence as well. I don't know how else to describe it. Lullatone is another artist that has dabbled in kind of these vibes. It's hard to explain. It's hard to really like pin down what it is exactly. For me, it's more just like a feeling, you know? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, they're nailing that sound, like Sora, Plot, you know, some of Lullatone's tracks definitely. I feel like I've mentioned them before in the podcast for some reason. I feel like I have shouted out some of those people.
I know you've definitely mentioned Sora before.
Yeah. It's like Akufen without the dance and with more like just more like soundscapes. Like the glitch becomes so like intricate that it almost becomes like a, you know, atmospheric thing. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not so much like rhythmic as it is atmospheric. So yeah, like I'd say Weightless and And then further down in the album, Slowly Dying is like a little interlude where it's that one's especially more ambient sounding. But I'll get to that one, I guess.
All right.
Resistance is a kind of short little hip hop type track with a vocoder. It's just like singing about how it's hard to have a good work ethic for me, at least. Like Resistance is, I named it that originally because the sample, one of the things I sampled for like the chorus part is she's saying resistance in there. It's kind of hard to hear because it's it's being played at two different speeds at once. But you can hear her say resistance in there.
Gotcha.
And yeah, it's just about not wanting to work and being lazy, basically.
That ain't a mood.
Yeah. And that's a pretty short track. I was very happy with the way that one came out, and it was tempting to make it longer, but sometimes it's just like about knowing like when to cut things off. Just like, you know what, this works as like a minute and 41 seconds song. It doesn't need to be longer. It is what it is. I'm not gonna force it.
Word.
And then that leads straight into Wake Up, which is named after one of the samples in there, from I think it's what's his name? I think it's Samuel L. Jackson's voice. It's from a movie. I don't like giving away samples.
Oh, really? Oh, I feel like that's the fun of it.
It's like, hey, maybe you'll have that moment where you stumble upon or you watch a movie.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna give you clues. I'm pretty sure it's Samuel L. Jackson saying "Wake Up." Anyways, it's named after that.
Oh, really? I did not. Okay, I'm gonna have to listen to this right now.
I can hear that now.
I hear it. Yep.
It's one of my favorite Japanese hip hop songs. Also has the same sample, and I finally found it. So
nice.
I gotta use this. And it also has another sample about waking up in there too, from a record. Forget which one. A lot of these samples I don't even remember where they came from, so I couldn't even tell you if I wanted to, because it's just like I'll just like buy a bunch of records at Goodwill and then I'll put it on and it's just like, well, that sucked. On to the next one. Oh, here's a little something. Let me sample it, and then I just throw it across the room. Go on to the next one. Like, it's harder to keep track of. For open ears, open mind, open heart, I was like keeping a journal where I was writing down everything I sampled, but then I gave up.
I mean, considering how much shit you sample and how much stuff you sift through, I can't blame you too much for that.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to keep it somewhat obscure, I guess.
Fair.
And this, I have like a lot of these tracks have like beta versions, I guess you could call them. Like this song has like an earlier version, and I was like, I don't really like that as much. Let me try and like slow it down and change the beat up a little bit and like reconfigure things so that it's like doper sounding. So I did that with this song. People on Patreon get to hear both versions, of course. But maybe I'll preview some of these other. A lot of the songs on here have like weird prototype versions.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say I think that version was cool too. Oh
yeah, Jade has heard them as well because she's my number one patron.
Thank you.
So yeah, I like pretty happy with how this one came out. There's some samples from 78s on there, which is always fun. Okay. Yeah, some old school. And there's some samples from cartoons, and both this song and the P.SUS feature samples from the instrument called the celeste. I don't know if you're familiar. But it's basically like think of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, the opening. That like that sound, that like bell sounding thing, that's a celeste.
Oh, okay.
And I love the way those sound. On keyboards, they never sound the same as the real thing. It's like an actual, I think it's like an actual acoustic instrument. I don't know. I've never seen one in real life.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so for the CollaboRadio, the song called the CollaboRadio, and for Wake Up, I liked sampling the celeste. I'd love to own one. Or Celesta? I don't know. Oh, I guess there's an A at the end there. I don't know. I'd love to own a real one. They sound so freaking awesome. And they kind of remind me of like space weirdly too. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Something that about they have a spacey quality to them. It's like, once again, it kind of captures that like it's an old instrument, but it's like it's kind of dreamy, spacey kind of, and it's like it's got those vibes.
Yeah, they're really cool. And oh shit, they do not go cheap. I'm looking at one now, and it's like
I'm sure
$16,000. So it's woof. They're cool, but like that.
How much do you say it was? $1,000?
$16,000.
Oh,
Jesus.
Yeah. At least the one that I'm looking at right now
All of the air
on Google.
is leaving your body.
I just died a little inside. It's like
there's plenty of synthesizers
of
it available, obviously, but like,
yeah, no, I'm sure you could find like honestly, a lot of the like synthesizer or like the sample patches for keyboards, I think don't sound like it at all. They don't have like they sound more like a mallet instrument on the keyboards. They don't have that like kind of ringing quality that the celeste has. So I just sampled records with that in them.
With real ones. Nice.
Yeah, with real ones. And it's nice to get the record crackle in there too. So it adds to the vibe. So yeah, that's very much, I wish I could have put more of those types of samples throughout the album, but it really mostly just accumulated on that song.
Yeah, I gotcha.
That's the most I can say on that.
Fair enough.
No phone.
I guess let's move on to No Phone.
Yeah, my personal favorite on the album.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Love it.
Thanks. I'd say for me, this one and Losing My Mind are my favorites personally.
Yep.
And like, I chose this song as like the first single to release from the album because I thought it was, had potential, and I don't know, it has yet to really like gain a lot of attention, but we'll see. I don't know.
Sometimes those things hit when you least expect them.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I had my finger on like what was gonna catch on and what wasn't, like, then I would be way more successful than I am. So
well, I mean, if we could just tap into like, oh, is this going to be a hit or not? Then yeah. I feel like shit would be really different.
Yeah, I mean, it takes time, I think, and I mean, I'm also not like a sellout. You know, I don't just like. I mean, I feel like I could make my music more, you know, marketable or whatever. But anyways, this one, I use the same exact vocoder settings as Favorite Walk, so it's like the same exact voice. So that's kind of a tie-in to that track. And this is another song where it's like two work in progresses stuck together. Actually, now that I think about it, it's like almost every freaking song on here.
Oh my god.
Almost. But it's I posted like a preview, like I posted like an Instagram story of like the prototype version, I guess, like whenever I was working on it, like almost a year and a half ago. And my friend Lucas, also known as Lukewarm, I guess he kind of just goes by Luke now on SoundCloud. Just Luke. He's got a little alligator as his picture, so if you search Luke on SoundCloud and look for the alligator. Anyways, he definitely check out his music. But anyways, the song had nothing to do with phones, but it was kind of like electronic sounding bleepy bloopy kind of track. And he messaged me, like he responded to my Instagram story and told me that he thought it sounded like a ringtone or something. Like it sounded like an old Nokia ringtone or something. Like it reminded him of that. Because I used a lot of like sine wave synths. So I decided to make it a song about phones. And I sampled a lot of phone sounds. And I also I went through a period where I didn't have a phone. So it's also inspired by that. That's why it's called No Phone. And the lyrics are like the way I felt about that. Like, it's just like, oh, I don't want a phone. I just want to be left alone. Because I'm a sad boy. But it's also like, it's also kind of has a double meaning to like, it's like kind of like, I don't want like everyone's always getting like the next new phone, you know, like iPhone 10X plus, you know, whatever, every freaking year. And it's just kind of like, I don't want that. I don't know. It's a generic anti-phone kind of song, I guess.
I dig it.
But it's not super, I tried to make it not too on the nose, but I don't know.
Right.
It almost feels somewhat nostalgic, just in the idea that, you know, new technology is overrated and old phones work just as well. And there's some old phone sounds on there as well, so that's certainly part of the message, I guess. And I have a flip phone now.
Nice.
So
oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, I think it definitely gets the message across without being all like, get off my lawn, you know.
I'm not trying to tell anyone else what they should do. I'm just saying I don't want a new phone.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Screw you guys. I'm going home with my flip phone.
I'm taking my flip phone with me.
Yeah. And it's one of those, another thing to say about it, I guess, is it's like one of those songs where I like had a record and there was this one part of the record I was like, I really want to sample this. So I tried to sample it into a beat a couple times and it's just like, oh, it's just not working out. And then with this one, I finally got it. I finally figured out how to make the sample work. So that felt good at the time, especially.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just like, oh, this sounds sick now. Like I knew there was potential in this sample. Because sometimes like I'll find the way I go sample hunting is I listen to stuff and then if something jumps out at me, then I know to use it, you know? Whereas like other people have different methods. They'll like record the whole record to their computer or whatever and then just like, you know, I don't know what other people do, but I feel like I've had this conversation with Riverman and he said he'll like sample things and then like sit with them for a while and see how he feels about them later, or like, you know, he'll just like collect things. But for me, it's like, it has to be something that like gives me a feeling, you know, it's just like, oh, that popped out at me. That made me feel a certain way, like that. That's like a little earworm there. Mm-hmm. But sometimes, so like, that's exciting to get that feeling, but sometimes I'll get that with a part of a song or whatever. And then I'll try and go to use it. And then I'll be like, oh, well, it's not really as good as I thought it was, you know? So that's what happened with the main sample in this song. But then I just like the record was sitting there and I was like, you know what, I'll try this again. And then I eventually found a way to make it work. So it's very like chopped up. I like, if you can find out what the original sample is, I'd like give you $10. It'd be really hard. The only clue I'll give you, I guess, maybe this is too much. The cover of the album has a samurai sword on it.
Okay.
So
I'm going to get that $10.
Good luck to you, fine sir.
yeah, if you can find it and tell me which part it is, then it's definitely really, I don't know. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything. It's just like, it just goes to show how much you can like edit something to sound different.
Nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's, so anyway, that's about it on that one. That's a notable track though.
Yeah.
still feel like
it's
that
definitely
one's
my
gonna come
favorite. I
out.
enjoy singing along to it.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's an anthem. As much as I am the opposite, I like new phones. Like I just bought a new phone because I'm like the antithesis of that. It's still a fun song to sing along to.
Yeah.
And I enjoy seeing you with your flip phone. I think that's great.
Yeah. Well,
We took a selfie on it last time. It's so fun. It like brings me back to being,
Yeah.
like 15 or whatever. And that was like, you used it to call people or text people, and that was
Yeah.
it. It didn't occupy your life. It's chill.
Jade has to leave, by the way.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
that's right.
Bye, Jade.
Bye,
Great to have you
guys.
on. This was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we should
I'll
have you
see
back
you around.
sometime. Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'll definitely see you around.
Cool.
Okay, bye.
Take care.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Pat, there is one sample on that that has been bugging me. A vocal sample. And it's like
the rap part.
yeah, it's like someone called me on my cell phone. Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Someone recognized that one on my YouTube channel.
But you're not going to tell us what it is.
I guess I'll tell you
No,
because
it's
it's
okay.
been
No, it's okay.
recognized already. And it's,
No, can I guess? I know
You can
it's
guess,
not right. It's not right.
you sure?
But it makes me think of like a Homestar Runner type
yeah,
thing.
that's right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh, that's awesome. Is it like the King of Town or something?
It's Coach Z.
Oh, Coach Z. Okay, probably the same voice actor, right? I'm guessing.
One guy does all the voices except for the girl.
So yeah, obviously.
Oh, yeah, Matt. I think it's I forget.
Maybe two guys.
There's two dudes that make it. They're brothers, and the one guy does all of the voices except for the girl character, which
yeah.
is done by a girl.
Marzipan.
Yeah. And then the other guy does like the animation mostly, but
That's
he
awesome.
does the voices when it's like, you know how the cheat makes like little animations like within the show. And he does all the voices, like the other brother does all the voices when it's like the cheats cartoon or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain if you don't know what Homestar Runner is. It's like really bizarre.
You should honestly like.
You should.
That was such a awesome thing in the early days of the internet. Like that was Flash, right?
Yeah, they're still
Flash
making
website.
stuff on YouTube. They're still coming out with new stuff.
Wow. So is that Coach Z's rap? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Or is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember the name of the song.
Right.
It's
I think it might
like-
just be called Coach Z's rap or something like that.
He has a couple rap songs,
Yeah. Okay.
but this one's my favorite. And
Okay,
me
sweet.
and my friends used to we used to sing it all the time back in the day. We used to
Nice.
reference it. So it's
Dude, I'm so glad I got that.
yeah, nice call there. Coach
Slow
Z's
clap.
got money, but not much. There's a lot of great lines.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyways, that worked out. That sample fit in there super nice.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Super-
That stuck out to me for sure. Is like, oh yeah, I love that.
Thanks. Yeah. And then the next song is Feeling Fine. It's I'd say the first thing, the most notable thing about this at first is it features like the same sample as End of the Rainbow. Like there's well, it's not really a sample actually. It's like it's a sample of, it's literally a sample of End of the Rainbow actually. Like one of my other songs from way back in the day. Yeah.
Oh wow, sampleception.
Yeah, I sampled my own song because
crazy.
the original was just me playing some keyboard setting, and I don't remember.
Is that
what it was.
allowed? Did you break the rules?
I don't think so, because it wasn't like, for me, like my code of ethics is like I don't sample another song that has a sample in it to take that sound. Like for example, like that, like with Wake Up, there's that sample of Samuel L. Jackson. And
right,
I heard that first in another hip hop song. And there's a part in the hip hop song where they play it on its own. And I could have totally just taken it straight out of that song, but like that would go against my code.
Yeah,
I
understood.
I wanted, even though maybe at the end of the day it would sound the same, but like I went and sampled it from like the original movie and not from the song that it was sampled in. Like that's the only thing I don't do. I guess there might have been an exception of that when it comes to like samples in video game songs.
Oh, okay.
Because sometimes video game, like certain video game soundtracks have samples in them from like sample packs and stuff. And I feel like I've ripped a couple from. That's the only exceptions I made. But if I'm not gonna like go sample the Avalanches, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
like,
gotcha.
Because I'd rather find the records that they sampled. So, but for this one, I sampled my own song, but not a part that was a sample from before. It was just me playing keyboard. So
Nice.
yeah, it's I don't know. I guess it's different. Anyways, it's all just sound, guys. It doesn't really matter. Do whatever you want. This is just me. This is just what I do. I think it's just better to find the source because then there might be more to it that they didn't use, and you're like, you might like that part too, and you want to put your own fresh spin on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's in there. I really like the way I reused that little loop from my older song. I like to do like little callbacks. There's a couple like callback samples like that one, and at the very beginning of Spiral, I used a sample that I used in Open Ears, Open Mind, Open Heart. But yeah, so Feeling Fine, it's got a pretty long vocal sample from a cartoon that I really like. I watch a lot of, if you can't already tell, I watch a lot of like Max Fleischer and old Warner Brothers cartoons and stuff like that. So I find a lot to use from those kind of things. I've got to say, I'm pretty happy with this one too. I'd say this one's one of my favorites.
Feeling fine?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I
I enjoy this one.
I'm just happy with what I was able to do with it. I feel like the song has I just feel like it has some moments in there that are nice, and it's just like, I like the way it evolves. Just like, I like how it keeps like evolving, and then it kind of comes back to the beginning at the end. It's like a progressive. So it's got a nice progression to it, I think. I also sampled something from Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. So if you can find out what that is, then kudos to you. But there's another space tie-in there.
Yep.
A lot of synths that I play, a lot of synth lines that I played myself on there. And then that goes into Slowly Dying, which is probably the most depressing title on the album.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I like it.
But I feel like... Oh, go ahead.
It's like, is it about the human experience?
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Right.
It's just like we're all just slowly leading to our death. Some of us faster than others, which is maybe one reason why I was inspired to make this. Sometimes I feel that way, but I'm doing okay, I promise.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one, I recorded myself playing Rhodes setting on my keyboard, and then I sent it through my SP404 on the DJ FX effect. And I like
the best.
It like the the way that one works is like one of the knobs you can pitch it down, and then the other knob, like, you can adjust how like finely it divides each little section, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like if you pitch it down, obviously it's going to be playing slower, but like in order for it to compensate and keep in time with the loop of the sample or whatever, or of the recording, it like has like little break points where it like catches up, and you can adjust like how finely those break points are. Like if they're super, super fine, then it'll sound like it's in the same exact time, like same exact meter as the original. But if it's like super not fine, it'll like kind of sound like it's limping almost. It'll be like it's hard to explain. I don't know.
I think I get what you mean though.
Yeah, it'll be like it'll like play slower, but then it'll jump cut to like the next, part of it to like keep
Try to
in
keep
time
up.
with.
Yeah.
Like, so that's why it sounds all like it, like at the end product just makes it sound like really dope.
Yeah.
Just like if you're into like glitchy sounding stuff, that's like a really good technique to do it, is to do that kind of chopping up effect, pitching and chopping automatically, like not even just like I've noticed, like you can do a sort of similar thing on Ableton as well. It's
yeah.
Like you like adjust the transpose knob, and then you have it on the warp is set to like beat, but then you can adjust like if it's 16th note beats or 8th note beats, and it like, yeah, I do that a lot.
Yeah.
If you're an Ableton head, then you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I know you do, Jack. Yeah. Word.
Sorry, I checked out for a minute there, guys.
Hi, Steve. Welcome back.
Yeah.
You guys started talking about Ableton, and I was gone.
Yeah, that's okay. You're not an Ableton. But the SP404 kind of does the same sort of thing, but it sounds like wonky. Anyway, so I just put that effect on the whole thing. And then
Is the 404 a less dirty box? What would you call it? Clean box?
Squeaky box.
A squeaky box.
It's just it's still a dirt box, but it's a more modern version.
Modern dirt box.
Yeah, like it's not as OG as the original SP404 or the SP303 or the SP202.
Right, you got one of those as well, right?
Yeah, I have the 404. There's 3 versions of the 404. There's the original, there's the SX, and now they just came out with the A, which I'm not sure what is different about it.
Oh, interesting. I have the SX, but it's like a more recent release version of it.
Oh, really?
But it's not the A, yeah.
Huh.
There's something different about it, but I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, I don't know what's different about the A. I really don't. A lot of people, I'm part of like the shout outs to SP404 Freaks, the Facebook group. A lot of people meme on the A, just saying that it's like a SX with a different faceplate.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but
that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I did research it one time and walked away feeling like it was no different than the SX.
Yeah, I don't think it's like, unless you just want the newest thing, I don't think there's any like, I mean, you're good with any of them, to be honest. And I kind of wish, like, I actually really like the SX, and I don't regret getting it. Especially now that I have the 303, but I kind of wish I had the original 404, just because the sound quality on that one is the main difference is on the original 404 there's an effect called vinyl sim, which has one of the knobs on vinyl, like one of the parts of the vinyl sim is compression, and on the SX they made compression its own separate effect instead of being part of the vinyl sim, but people think that it doesn't sound as good. And the original F404 vinyl sim compression is like, it's like that, you know, I'm imagining the guy on the pizza box going like, with making the OK symbol.
Right.
It's like, it's good. Damn tasty.
Good.
Yeah. Delicious. But the SX compression sounds fine, but I don't know. It's all right.
Okay.
But the 303 pizza box guy.
Dom, throw up a pizza box guy.
Straight.
I want to know about this, like,
from Italy.
this P.SUS scale where like the top of the scale is the Italian pizza guy doing a okay side.
Yeah.
I want to know what else is on the scale.
I don't know.
From one to
I'll
pizza
get back
box.
to you on that.
From 1 to pizza box guy.
Yeah. Anyway, I love all of those samplers. I haven't used the 202 recently, though. It's kind of being neglected by me, but they're all great. You can make dope stuff on those if you figure out how. It's kind of tricky, but honestly, like, you don't even need Ableton. If you want to make some dope beats, you can just use those, to be honest.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I prefer to use them as just another cog in the overall wheel of my setup here.
So, can you tell us a little bit about Spiral?
Yeah, it's another vocoder heavy track with full-on lyrics. It's just kind of about like feeling. I feel like sort of ironically, after the song called "Feeling Fine," the album sort of takes like a more somber turn.
Yeah.
I kind of put all of these like darker, I guess, tracks like towards the end here. But Spiral is well, the title is kind of inspired by the song by Cornelius called Helix Spiral, where he uses a vocoder. So it's kind of an homage to that track.
Oh, cool.
A little bit. But it's just about like wanting to be self-destructive when you're feeling down. That's what the lyrical content is
like
about.
a downward spiral.
Yeah. It's like the lyrics are just about like, oh, when I'm not feeling so great, I tend to want to like do things that are not great for my health. But like at the end of the day, like I get a lot of anxiety from that because I'm not necessarily like ready to face death.
Right.
That's like what the lyrics are about.
Gotcha.
And one thing that's notable about this track is I finally figured out how to do this effect that I really have been wanting to do. I've heard it, a couple other producers use it, but not too many. I've heard, the one and only Pogo, he's used it, and I'm like, how the heck do you make that? What, Pogo? You know, who's Pogo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy who did the Putt Putt remix?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. Well, he, not in the Putt Putt remix, but he used this effect that it's kind of another like version of lo-fi in a way, but it's not so much like vinyl or like bit crushing or like it's not like reducing the bit rate. It's like, I'm not exactly sure what it's reducing, but it makes it sound like a super compressed MP3. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Kind of like the Redux effect kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of like Redux in Ableton, but like it's not so much like, it doesn't make it sound like low bit rate. It makes it sound like it's like if you converted your MP3 to like a 96 kilobyte per second MP3.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like back in the day, in like the early 2000s, when like internet streaming sucked ass. You know,
this back in the LimeWire days?
Yeah, or not even LimeWire, where you're like download. I don't know. I never used LimeWire, but didn't you? Isn't that like downloading songs?
Yeah. But then was Napster
like,
kind of the big streaming thing in the early 2000s?
Yeah. Well, it's like even like when you would like go on a website and someone would have like an audio clip you could just stream on the website, but it'd be like super low fidelity.
Yeah.
It just kind of has like this liquidy sort of sound. Mm-hmm. It's at 109 in the song. It just like kind of has that like, it just like sounds super like liquidy and.
Oh yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it exactly.
It's this weird kind of like compressed noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like creating compression artifacts.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah. So I finally found a VST that can do that after like
nice.
like we're having a hard time defining it, so it's hard to like search and find what I actually want.
Yeah.
So like, but I eventually found, I can't remember what the VST is called off the top of my head, but I really think that's a dope, kind of unique, like other angle to approach lo-fi from in a way. So like, I feel like I used that and a couple other effects, especially like at the very end of the song where I kind of have the vocals like getting more and more bit crushed. It's kind of like goes along with the theme of the track where it's like I don't know, spiraling. I don't know. It's kind of dark, but it's like the way the effects like kind of corrupt the sounds more and more. Also like parallel with the theme of the lyrics in a way. So yeah. And
what about old photos?
That one is I was inspired to make it when I was looking through old photos, and I was just like feeling super nostalgic, but like not in like a warm fuzzy kind of way, but in a way it was like, oh damn. Just like did I really like take advantage of like those moments, you know? Did I really like live the way I wanted to? I don't know. Like in retrospect, there's like a lot of times where I look back at older photos and I'm like, oh, I had an opportunity to like, you know, really enjoy myself in those times in my life or whatever, or like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to put into words, but
I know where you're going with that. Yeah.
It's just like, maybe I didn't, you know, live my life to the fullest, you know? It's like I mean, I say those lyrics in this one. But that's basically the vibe. But it's also kind of like sort of like a Dilla inspired beat. So that's what this one is.
Cool. Yeah, I can definitely hear that sort of nostalgia with that kind of more.
Yeah.
I don't want to say melancholy tint to it, but like.
I'd say that's fitting. That's what I was gonna say.
Just a touch.
Yeah, it's definitely the theme is like the sadder side of nostalgia, because that's very much a real thing for me. Like, I mean, like I like obviously nostalgia, I guess, or older media and whatnot, or just, you know, experiences is definitely an influence in my music, and I think there's a lot of like nice warm fuzzy memories and stuff that I feel like comes through, but I also think like I just said, there's a darker side to being nostalgic all the time that's like kind of a burden.
Yeah.
So yep. Just ending the album just gets more and more somber as we go. So it's like kind of weird to end it like this, but anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Night Dweller is just about staying up till like 5 a.m. with my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always a good time. I mean, it kind of destroys the next day, but it...
Yeah.
I miss those days, man.
Yeah. The next day of doing that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just about, I feel like me and my friends especially, like none of us are morning people. And I feel like all of my friends, I'm talking about people that I see regularly in real life.
I gotcha.
I'm sure some of you guys might be morning people. I don't know.
Not I.
Okay.
Not really, but I try to force myself to be.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I enjoy mornings. Don't get me wrong. All my friends back in Pittsburgh, though, like, they just like to stay up all night and play video games and stuff. And so, a couple of them are Twitch streamers, so that's like their job is to stay up all night. My one friend's a musician, so, jazz musician, so he doesn't get home till super late. I usually like go over to his house at like 12 a.m.
Damn.
It's just like about that whole culture of like being in Pittsburgh and being out super late and not getting home until the sun's rising and stuff. So that's what that one's inspired by.
I really like this one. I've listened to this a few times.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that being one of Jade's favorites when I was like in the process of making the album.
Yeah, it does sound. It has a nice like night drive vibe,
Yeah, that's totally what I was thinking too.
I mean, it reminds me of a couple of occasions where we were in Pittsburgh and we went to the View,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I started this song in, like, a lot of these songs I started when I was in Pittsburgh, because I go up to visit pretty regularly, and I always bring, like, a setup, and I just feel like I always feel really creative when I'm on a visit there, so a lot of these songs, like, started out when I was up there, and I feel like the Pittsburgh vibes just go into these tracks, a lot of them, especially this one.
Yeah,
I was there. I was there in like November when I made that song.
Nice.
Last year. So it's just like super dark and depressing every day.
Right. Yeah, November is that's like the opposite of May, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
I think it's on the opposite side of the calendar.
Yeah. It's like the exact opposite vibes you get from May. May, things are coming to life.
Yeah.
And so are you. And then November, almost everything is dead.
Yeah. Freshly dead.
Yeah, freshly dead.
And in Pittsburgh, it's like also always really cloudy. So it's like not only does it get dark super early and it's cold and dead feeling, it's like also cloudy all day. So it's like it gets dark even earlier than it should. And I kind of love it sometimes. It's like
yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I've said before, in Florida it's like bright and sunny almost every day. So if you're kind of feeling more in the somber kind of vibe and you go outside and it's like, it's bright and sunny, how are you doing today? It's like, not great, I guess. It's too bright and sunny outside, god damn it. So like, wintertime sometimes matches my mood more. It's interesting to like
I feel
be
that.
deprived of that. I never expected to feel that way living here, but
I personally feel like I'm one of the few people I know who like loves a rainy day. Like I just love overcast days when you go outside. It's just like overcast, and I don't know, that like it rejuvenates my spirit more than a sunny day for some reason.
Yeah, I think it's all just about balance for me. It's like too much of either of those has their downsides.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why winter in the north is tough, because, winter is great, but you don't want
too long.
4 months of it.
Yeah, it's too long.
And we're all like northern. We all grew up in the north, so we can. Yeah, you get those Michigan winters.
Oh yeah,
man, those might even be worse than Maine winters. I would be.
I mean, we got the Great Lakes, but
lake effect. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Polar vortex and bomb cyclones. Whee!
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
There are a lot of parts of Canada that have nicer winters than we do.
Yeah.
Jack. Like, a lot of Canada.
Yeah. Canada's a big place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
next time on this episode of Geography with
weather.
Canada, a big place.
Wait, really? It's big?
Man, this has been a very informative podcast. We know that sand is rocks and minerals.
Yeah.
And Canada is a big place.
Yeah. Just you're getting an educational podcast here.
Yeah. Truly.
Sweet. So we must be on like the final track.
Yeah,
Home planet.
Final
Sweet.
track. This one's special too because this one started out shout outs to Sapien Alien.
Nice. Milo.
He sent me a recording of him playing guitar. And some bass, but I EQ'd out the bass. Sorry. Didn't mean to. It sounded terrible. No, just kidding. He sent me, I guess, I'm not sure what he used to record it, but he had to leave the bass in. I think maybe he used a loop. I think he used a loop pedal or something. But he's like, he just sent it to me and was like, oh, you could probably do something with this. And this was actually, this kind of alters my timeline for how long I was working on this album, because this was back in like 2017, I think.
Oh, wow.
This was like when I was working on Temporary Sensations. He sent this to me, and I used his guitar sample or whatever and started to make a beat out of it. And I liked it, but I never got around to finishing it for Temporary Sensations, and I wasn't sure exactly how I felt about it. But I just sometimes when you sit on something for a while, you're like, oh, actually this sounds pretty good. So I went back and finished it for this album. It's like, nice. It's the last song I finished for the album, but the first song I started, I guess. Cool. If you don't count All Over Again. So yeah, I definitely like his guitar stuff, whatever. I'm pretty sure it's mostly just guitars through probably some different effects, I guess. It sounds really pretty. It's like the first thing that you hear in the track, basically. It's like the main sample. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I really liked the way it sounded, and I really am a fan of how it turned out.
Yeah, it's
in
dope.
the end. Thanks. And it kind of has some Temporary Sensations vibes to it. So now you know why, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it was meant to be on that album, but I think it works well on this one.
Oh, I think it does too.
Thanks. And I was able to sneak in some world music vibes on this one, which weren't really super present on any other songs so much. So that's kind of like my roots in a lot of ways. When I first started out making what eventually became P.SUS, was like I was trying to make like world music inspired stuff, so I'm still trying to honor that.
Totally.
Sampled some ethnic percussion stuff in there, mostly. And I feel like this one I'm real happy with it because I feel like it has a good build up and drop at the end. Like I feel like it kind of has like the sort of like the beginning section, and then it like kind of breaks down into like a world music percussion thing, and I feel like the way that builds up into the ending section when the bass comes back in, I'm like really happy with the way that the energy kind of builds up and drops. And I'd say I feel like I was trying to do a better job at that throughout the whole album. It's kind of like, I kind of wanted to, I mean, it's not like drops like, you know, Skrillex or something. It's just like,
yeah, you know.
that was great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just feel like electronic music, I guess, or any kind of music is just about, like, a lot of music, I'll say, is about tension and release and making your song have a proper build up and release. You know, people call it a drop, but all it is really is the release of tension, I guess. I don't know. That's like something I'd really like to be better at. And I feel like with this album, I tried to make it sound like super, like all the grooves, I feel like I tried to make super tight and, you know, and like I've wanted to make all the songs almost all the songs have like a nice build up and climactic moments in each song. And I feel like that's just something I feel like I need to do better. I'd say like I don't particularly listen to a lot of EDM or anything, but I really respect producers that can like make a song that has like a satisfying build up and drop. Like it's actually like super hard to do, you know? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm not like trying to be super in your face about it, like dubstep or whatever, but like even just trying to do it on a subtle level, can be a little challenging.
Oh, I'll bet.
To make it satisfying. For some reason, I feel like I need to shout out this one album that kind of inspired me. It's called Django, I think, by Chip Tanaka. I think it came out like either last year or the year before that or something. And it has some awesome build-ups in that. But it's not like typical EDM or anything. He's a composer that worked for Nintendo. He wrote a lot of recognizable. Hirokazu Tanaka is his actual name. He goes by Chip Tanaka. I don't know why, but he's like 60 or something. So it's really cool that it's like an older guy making like super fresh like electronic music. And but he wrote like a lot of the music for like NES games and stuff for Nintendo. And he worked on the Earthbound soundtrack, another Nintendo game. Oh,
nice. Okay.
Yeah, he was one of the composers for that. He wrote a lot of the battle themes for Earthbound, and like this album Django sounds a lot like that. And it's like completely out of its mind. It's like ridiculous. It's like the some of the stuff he's doing on there is like insane. So I took a little inspiration from that album, at least.
All right.
Like when it comes to like being like, oh, like you can do like build ups and drops, and it's actually like pretty hip. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say my album has drops in it, but it weaved its way in there somewhere. I don't know. I just felt like I needed to give that album a shout out.
Nice.
Excellent.
Yeah.
The album artwork, which we haven't touched on.
I was gonna say
is awesome.
That's a good yeah.
Yeah. Who did the album art?
It's the same dude again.
Plus 10%?
Yeah, plus 10%.
Yeah.
Nice.
This
guy's the best. Guy?
Yeah,
is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
this gentleman is the best.
from China.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been doing all of my album covers, basically all of my main album cover, like for P.SUS. I mean, I made the one for Sound Traveler 2017 to 2019, and I made the one for the VGM Concepts. Mm-hmm. But other than that, like Gallery, Temporary Sensations, Take It Easy, and now this one, Groovy Star, he's been like my art dude, collaborator.
Nice. That's so sick. You guys have a great, oh my God. You guys have a great working relationship, it seems like, because the past few albums have been so sick. Like the cover art, Temporary Sensations, that one is
Yeah,
That one is so dope. But yeah, the Groovy Star is sweet. This is the happiest I've ever seen you look.
Yeah.
You look so
contented.
so incredibly pleased with your music. I love it.
It's very misleading because some of the themes in here are a little darker, but that's all right. No, it fits. It's very fitting. I like it.
Yeah, it is.
He kind of, I think he picked up on some of the cartoon inspiration. Mm-hmm. I sent him some stuff. I kind of had like a preconceived notion of what I thought I wanted. I was like, well, obviously I like wanted myself to be on the cover in some shape or form because, you know, it's like it's got so much of my own identity in this album. It's with like the lyrics and the singing and the, you know, like more sentimental sample sources and the, you know, a lot of original composition stuff.
Sure.
So that made it, I was like, oh, it would make sense for me to be on the cover. And then Groovy Star is kind of like not just like literally a star, but like also like I'm the star, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I told him I wanted that, and then I had those like Jade. She took a lot of nice photos of me that you may have seen. They're like me with my guitar, outside in front of it's in front of the Salvador Dali Museum down here in St. Petersburg, Florida. So like obviously my design, I wanted him to design me based on those photos. And I've got to say I was slightly disappointed that he didn't make me have star sunglasses, but that's okay. I still like it. I like
the sleepy, relaxed eyelids, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
so I think you might lose that with the sunglasses. That's the only thing. True.
No, I mean, I recognize that. That's why I didn't say anything. But, yeah, he just, I also sent him some of his work that I thought was cool. Some of the album covers have been like entirely his idea. And then a couple of the album covers were like more like he wanted me to give him a direction to go in. So this time I came out like guns blazing with like ideas. And, I also sent him, I kind of like was thinking that since I was inspired by a lot of like 60s music, I sent him some artwork that was like, I don't know what to call it. It's kind of like 60s, like hippie kind of vibes.
Okay.
What's his name? There's this one dude, he made, I don't know if he's still alive, but he made a lot of art in the 60s that's like, it's very like great, like the background is always like a gradient and it's always like orange and blue, and then it always has like stars and stuff. Dang it, I wish I could remember his name, but anyways, I kind of wanted him to do like a 60s psychedelic kind of vibe, but he is just like, no, I'm feeling cartoon, I'm feeling like retro cartoons is the way to go with this. And I was like, all right, whatever, do your thing, you're the artist. So I try not to be too controlling. Like,
Word.
A lot of times I for a lot of my albums, when I've approached a visual artist, I'm usually just like, well, here's the album, listen to it, and like whatever you think it sounds like, just draw that. And that works most of the time, but sometimes, you know, people are like, or especially plus 10%, he's like, well, what do you want it? Like, what are you thinking? Like, I needed something to start with. So I don't know. It's been a pretty healthy relationship, I'd say. I feel like it's good to like not be too controlling.
Yeah.
As a collaborator, that's the key. The key to collaboration is like, don't be too controlling about what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you gotta let everyone contribute. He also made an animation of the, like an animated version of the cover, which is came out super awesome. Yeah. If you watch my All Over Again live version, or if you watch the album trailer thing that I made on my YouTube, I have like a little clip of the animation that he made in both of those videos. I would recommend watching the All Over Again live version. I put the whole thing right in the beginning. It looks awesome. And I feel like I should make a PSA for those of you listening. I know I mentioned wanting to do CDs for this album.
Yeah.
And the way the CD cover design kind of has to work is like, I can't just like take the album cover and slap it on the front of the CD design. It has to be like extended beyond like what you see. So because they're like, when they cut the picture to make the CD, there's like room for, there needs to be room for like bleeding, you know, so there isn't like a white border around the CD. And also like CD covers aren't perfect squares. Even though like on digital stores, you know, the album cover is always a perfect square, but on a CD it's not. So like he kind of ran into some trouble with his computer, and I wanted him to do a CD design, but he's like not able to do one right now. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if CDs are going to come out, because like, I'm just saying, like, since I have to like change the design slightly for the CD, like I can't make it myself. So sorry if those of you that are holding out for a CD, because I did mention them when I announced the album, or like when I announced the release date of the album. I was like saying I was keen on doing CDs, which is true, but like the designer kind of has to make the album or the CD design too. Like, just, I can't think of any other way it would work right now. So yeah, I guess this is an apology / just bear with me, because his computer crashed or whatever. So luckily he was able to get the fact that the album's out and he was able to get me the finished design is like pretty dope in and of itself. So, but I think like looking forward a little bit, I might still be able to come up with something for the CD design, and I certainly do want to do some like other merchandise and maybe some reissues of past albums, because the Temporary Sensation CDs went really well, and I'd like to just sell more physical stuff. I can just feel like that's one of the main things that I need to do. And now that I've released an album and I kind of have a little bit of money in my pocket, I can like put some of that back into creating some merchandise for all you lovers out there. So I just wanted to say that for
nice.
For you know, maybe the one or two people that are still listening to this podcast at this point. that are probably, I mean, if they're still listening at this point, then they're probably people that would be buying a CD from me.
Sure, so. Of course. I mean, I want to buy a CD, so and I'm still listening.
I'll probably make a post that says something similar to that, probably a lot more eloquently than what I just said, but I'll make a post about it. It's just kind of an awkward thing that happens when you are relying on other people to do things for you. So, but anyways, we'll see what happens. Just stay tuned. But as of right now, like, you know, it's on Spotify, it's on YouTube. You can listen to it as much as you want, and it wouldn't cost you a dime, to be honest. So, except for paying for your internet connection, I guess.
Do you get kickback from like Google Play and Spotify and all that?
Oh, you mean like royalties or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, if you listen, if you want to support me, like, definitely buy it on Bandcamp, I'd say, or iTunes or whatever. But if you're gonna listen to it, if you just want to listen to it and check it out, or you don't really feel like Like maybe if you're younger and you don't have a credit card or whatever, you don't have PayPal and you can't buy it, like please just listen on Spotify and not YouTube, because Spotify pays out more than YouTube does. So I feel like that's just, if you want to support an artist, like listen to their stuff on Spotify, because it's like I forget what the numbers are, but it's vastly higher than YouTube. So I try to cover all my bases, and honestly, like I don't know if I'm really in it for the money right now, because I'm still trying to find my fan base, to be honest. Like I'm still trying to grow, and I feel like that's just making my stuff as accessible as possible. So that's why I do put it out there on YouTube. And it's nice that I get a little bit of money from that, but basically like you're not really supporting me at all if you just listen to my album on YouTube. I've got to, like, you're giving me like 0.001 cents like every time you listen to it or something.
Gotcha.
So it's like really low. But with Spotify, it's like slightly higher than that. So yippee. Or Tidal. I feel like Tidal pays out the most. I don't know. Nobody
Is it
has
on Tidal?
It is on Tidal.
I didn't know Tidal was still a thing, to be entirely honest.
Yeah, exactly. That's I was saying. No one has Tidal.
Huh.
Spotify is perfectly fine.
Okay. See, I listen to everything on Google Play Music because it's, it's paid subscription.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully you're getting kickback from that, because I have been listening to your album several times.
I don't know all the numbers for all of those sites, but they're all pretty good. They're all better than YouTube. YouTube's the worst when it comes to like, but YouTube has the biggest user base, so it kind of makes up for it. Mm-hmm. Like Tidal pays out the most, but nobody uses Tidal, so it doesn't. I think I've seen a breakdown of my stats. I'm pretty sure I get the most money from Spotify, like out of all of those. Like I upload my music to cdbaby.com, and they have like a distribution service which distributes my music to Spotify and iTunes and all those other places. So it's like it's a big bundle of things. And when they pay me, they tell me where, like, how much money came from which place, and Spotify is like number one over iTunes and stuff. But then I don't know how. I'm pretty sure I still make more on Bandcamp. So yeah, it's interesting stuff. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling at this point.
All right, Jack, you want to wrap it up? Because you probably have to get out of here.
I do, unfortunately.
All right.
But yeah.
Well, thanks for taking the time to chat about my album so much. I feel a little like self-indulgent right now. But thanks for talking about my music for like 2 hours.
This was fun, actually, and
yeah,
especially because I haven't heard from you in such a long time. It was good just to chat with you again.
Yeah, well, I mean, now you know what's up with me. Like, this is like all I think about. It's like what I've been doing for the past year and a half. You know, it's just like, oh, how do I make music? Like, what the hell do I do? How do I make good music? That's all I'm trying to figure out.
Word, man. So I assume we can still get your music at your Bandcamp, on Spotify, on iTunes. Basically, anywhere you can find music, you'll find P.SUS.
That's the idea, especially with this album. There are certain albums that are only on Bandcamp because Bandcamp's free to upload to. Mm-hmm. I think that's what people have to understand. Like it costs money. There might be free ways to get it on Spotify, but that's kind of shady in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if they'll pay out or whatever. Right. But most, like with CD Baby, like it literally costs like $70 per album to like put my stuff out there. So, like, people always ask me, like, oh, put this on Spotify, put this on Spotify. It's like, okay, but, like, are you going to pay me $70 to put my album? I'm being a dick now. It's just not that simple, all right? Yep. Yeah, it's like, this one's on Spotify, there's a few others. If you really want to check out my whole catalog, it's on Bandcamp. And if you really want every last little thing that I've done, I've got it all organized for Patreon people. So if you want to track down every last little song that I've released, it's all on there. So but just Google P.SUS, whatever your preferred music listening platform is, there will be something there for you.
I'm on your Bandcamp right now, and you can get the entire P.SUS discography for $37.80. That's insane.
Yeah, 50% off.
Yeah, that's 55% off even. That's crazy.
Oh, right, yeah. I recently made it cheaper because I released a couple albums and it went up, so.
Right. That's a dope deal. So go do that. Go subscribe to the Patreon.
Yeah, like either way.
Build a whole new computer that will just constantly stream P.SUS's stuff, so he's getting some kickback. Just help in any way you can.
Or just build a computer that screams. That's cool too.
Yeah, no, that works. Just put my stuff on mute on Spotify and just run it 24/7. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, let's do that.
But Patreon really helps though, because it's like that gets me through like the valleys. I like don't have anything to release. Like, if you want to buy my whole discography, go for it. That's awesome too. And that's nice to like give me a one-time thing. But Patreon's super awesome because it's like a paycheck, it like keeps me going. Like when I don't have, when I'm like in between albums. So whatever you want to do, I know not everyone likes Patreon, but just know that like means a lot to me to like still have supporters when I'm not necessarily in a position where I can like come out with an album quite yet. I'm still working on it. Like, it really helps me get through those times.
Nice.
Also, it's like such a good deal too, because you have so much output compared to like a lot of other internet musicians. Like,
yeah.
There's
I
always
appreciate
things coming out. It's crazy.
I don't know. Sometimes I don't feel that way, but I appreciate that.
Oh, I mean, if I had a Patreon, nobody would subscribe to it because they'd have to wait 3 years before a single track. So, I mean,
yeah, I definitely post a lot of work in progress tracks, and a lot of tracks get scrapped and they never make it past Patreon. So you're at least getting something exclusive. And I'm definitely trying to continue to like give people a more like honest kind of behind the scenes look at my process. I feel like I'm just trying to think of other ways to make it like worthwhile other than just generosity. Just like to give back a bit more, but like as of right now, like I'm definitely, well, not right now because I just came out with an album, but in between albums, I'm always posting work in progress tracks. And, probably that more than anything is like the reason to sign up if you want to hear every little thing that I do, or, if you do $10 a month, you can download. That's another way you can just download my discography. So
sweet.
I don't know. Yep.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Honestly. Yeah. Help support.
Yeah, you can cheat the system and sign up for my Patreon for $10 for 1 month and then cancel and get
don't
all
tell
of my
them
music. Hey, it's $10 I didn't have, all right?
You gotta help Pat feed his cat and feed his fiance. So
Yeah.
Go subscribe.
Well,
You still have your cat, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's doing great.
Awesome. Great cat.
I mean, I'm not trying to make it sound like, you're pulling the plug if you don't sign up for my Patreon. Like, I'll be okay, but it's really nice if it makes me feel like a real person that actually has a real job. So thanks.
I mean, that's the difference here. That's why you have so much output, is like, this is your job, like this is what you put your time into.
Yeah. As of right now, I'm blessed enough to be able to make this work right now.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I can focus.
It's freaking awesome.
I can focus on trying to make my music as good as possible and like get it out there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm trying to do that while I can.
Hell yeah.
Hopefully, like, it goes somewhere. So.
Sorry, just a dead silence after that. Hopefully it goes somewhere.
Sorry. I was waiting for someone else to say something. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I hope my music goes somewhere.
I'm sure it will. Okay, so we know where to find Pat's music. Steve, did you have anything you wanted to plug, or?
No, just if you're interested in listening to my music, go check me out. Just Google ThinkFishTank. Nothing new though. I'm sorry, nothing new. But I did put out an album last November, so you
Fair
can
enough.
buy that and listen to it.
Fair enough. Cool. As far as my music stuff is concerned, nothing new for me either, but you can still find it at soundcloud.com/Jawka or youtube.com/JawkaJabberwock. But recently, I got to do a cool thing where one of my jobs is that I narrate audiobooks, and I got to do a Spider-Man audiobook for Marvel recently, and that's actually going to be coming out a week from today of the recording on September 3rd. And if you like Spider-Man and you want to maybe help me do more Spider-Man books, maybe check it out. It's called Spider-Man: The Darkest Hours by Jim Butcher. I had a blast doing it. It's just the coolest thing I have gotten to do in my career so far.
Sick.
So
Yeah.
if you like Spider-Man, check it out maybe.
Are you? Do you do the whole book? Or
I
are you
do
just
the whole
doing
book.
the voice?
I do the whole
Oh
book.
wow! Oh cool. Do you also do like a voice for Spider-Man Peter Parker?
Yep. I had to
Can
voice.
you give us a little teaser
I mean,
of what you're...
for Spider-Man Peter Parker, it's basically just my voice, but I also got to do the Rhino. I got to do Black Cat. I got to do Doctor Strange. And
Wait, really?
Yeah. I got to do, I think, something like 22 people or so throughout the entire book. And my God, it was such a blast to do because, like, I fucking love Spider-Man. Like, I always wanted to be Spider-Man, like, as like a little kid.
Oh, me too.
And then, like,
You see my profile picture, right?
Yeah.
I love me some Spider-Mans.
Yeah. But then, like, I just, however many years later, 15 years later or so, like, got to actually kind of be Spider-Man in a limited capacity was fucking awesome.
That's sick.
But, I'll put a link to that in the description below. And if you like Spider-Man and you're interested in it, just maybe check it out if you want. But yeah, that's all I've got to plug.
I've been thinking about this podcast idea where basically I talk to people about their weird day jobs because I obviously have a weird day job. So if I do this, Jack, I really want to get in deep about like you recording audiobooks because I have like a lot of questions that we can't really answer here. But that would be a lot of fun. So let's do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea, dude.
Yeah, we can do that sometime, I'm sure.
I can talk about my day job of playing video games.
Nice.
Yes, exactly.
Just kidding. I'll stop.
I've got a lot of interesting friends, so I think it'd be...
All right. I got to get the fuck out of here. But this has been a pleasure, guys.
Yes.
We should do this again sooner rather than later. Hopefully sooner. And thank you again to Dom for editing this episode. And for dealing with all this shit. As of now, this recording has been going on for like 2.5 hours. So
2.5. Oh my god.
Have fun. Sorry.
I'm gonna clean up I'll do some of the work for you. I'm cleaning up my side of all the unwanted noises, at least.
Oh, what a good guy.
Yeah.
Yay. All right.
I can't promise I will do that. Sorry, guys.
But yeah, I'll go ahead and roll in that sweet outro music, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening.